Welcome to PozVibe Podcast, a podcast for HIV positive people, their friends, family and allies. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
PozVibe is back and so am I. Did you miss me?
I actually did miss you, honey. Normally we see each other every few days. It's been a few weeks.
It's been a few weeks.
So I'm very excited to have you home.
Do you know what? When I was away in Malawi for around 10 days, but previous to that, Brighton Pride as well, had the best time. I missed three things. Morris, the dogs, and Veda.
Oh,
I know.
In that order.
Yeah. Well, more the dogs than Morris than you. But yeah, I did. I really did miss it. I missed the PozVibe vibes.
Great. Well, this is episode number 94 of PozVibe Tribe podcast, which is pretty wild, right?
It's amazing. And when you texted me that earlier on, I almost like teared up because I said it before in the pod, but when we were setting this up, we were like, oh, we don't know if people will want to come on. And here we are, episode 94, nearing 100.
Yeah. And I thought I would better start the countdown because, you know, I'm so scatty. We'll forget.
Yeah.
We'll be going, oh my God, it's episode 102. Yeah. We missed it. So we're going to count down to 100.
Yeah, we have to do something special for her. We have to put our heads together.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's going to be great.
Speaking of something special, you were doing something wowie in Malawi. What were you up to?
I was over there with Unitaid, and Unitaid is an organisation that tries to bring medicines to the global south more quickly. I always bang on about this, like why do we have access to the best medicines in the global north, but we just allow people to die of preventable diseases or health conditions, or their livelihoods are completely ruined? Why is there more value placed on our lives than our friends, whether it's in Bangladesh, Malawi, Malaysia? Like who makes these decisions? And so where we try to come in, or me personally, is to say these trade frameworks are inherently racist, and in Ireland we prop up this system of intellectual property of inequities, even though we like to say that we're the most charitable country in the world. So we make all this money, billions, from intellectual property, and we give the global south our scraps and we pat ourselves on the back for it. So as part of Unitaid, I'm part of the communities delegation, where we fight for these like 20, 30 million grants to try and get the evidence to make sure that countries like Malawi will put through long-acting PrEP injectables, through the health regulatory body, through the World Health Organization guidelines, and to make sure that the communities on the ground know about it and doctors know about it. And when we get all of this right, well, then organizations like Global Fund or PEPFAR, then they'll scale it up and people have access to it in the Global South. So that's kind of the formula. Why we are here as communities is because imagine giving a grant to 20 million to try and generate this evidence. And the majority of the people who do the work are communities. Now, Veda, we harp on about this all the time. Communities do the work. There would be no HIV response, no TB response, no malaria, epilepsy response without the communities directly affected. We know this in public health. But where does the money go? It goes to researchers in Harvard, it goes to the implementers like Chai, it goes to the World Health Organization, and then it goes to some community-based organizations, but it does not go down to the communities that actually do the work. Women who travel all day to collect TB samples, then to bring it all the way back to give it to the hospital, they get a lunch voucher worth less than $1. So we were in Malawi to kind of look at communities on the ground of amazing women living with HIV who were singing, they were dancing to us. Against all odds, they were thriving in life because Malawi is one of the most impoverished countries in the world. It was truly incredible to see them. Malawi is called the heart of Africa, and it's called the heart of Africa because they are just the nicest human beings of all time. Oh my God, my heart is just pounding thinking about them. I made the most beautiful friends, and a lot of them have almost no money. Almost no money. We went to community hospitals. They don't know where their TB testing is going to come from in 2 weeks' time. I went into the TB room. It was a shoebox and there was no air ventilation. They only had a window. So we're in a room where there's lots of active TB a lot of the time, and they only have a window for circulation, air circulation. Medicines, they don't know where it's going to come from because of these foreign aid cuts. And if I can just leave you this with one story that's really stuck with me about the inequities and what we even face here in Ireland, Veda. When we give a 20 million grant, almost a quarter of that grant goes towards travel and international travel. So this goes for people in Harvard, Yale, or London School of Medicine in England to go down to Africa to tell them how to do things, right? But we have these women who can't go to different regions in their country, which could be miles away. So they have to walk or they have to pay money out of their own money to get there. So we were saying, why aren't they giving bicycles? Which costs in Malawi nothing, but will cut the travel so quickly. And this woman, this implementer looked at me, and I'll never forget, I wanted to kill her. Oh my God, I wanted to kill her. She was like, well, that would be nice, but we have to be realistic. And I'm like, 5 million of your grant is going towards travel, and you're not even giving these women a bicycle to travel around. That would cost $20 max. It just shows you the mentality of people with money and how little they think of community, but also how much they expect of community. So as the communities delegation, we're having no more of it. We're putting our foot down, and we're going to be even more pointed when we look through these grants. So that was part of my trip. I could go on about days and days and days of this, but my God, do we have our work cut out for us. So that's why we need global solidarity.
Yes. Well, I'm so proud of you and the work that you're doing. Like Robbie, you're such a great champion for people living with HIV and for people, you know, who are not having equitable and fair access to health. And I'm really proud of you. And I'm really proud of how you've taken on the whole world. I'm here just trying to deal with the domestic situation, but Robbie has taken on the whole world.
We have our hands full, but together.
Yeah. Together we got you all covered.
Together we've depression.
We're having a session.
A session, yeah.
So we are more than blessed to have two amazing representatives of the queer Indian community here in Ireland. One of whom is our own tribe member.
Hi, Pradeep.
Hi. I'm back.
You are back.
And the amazing artist and activist and now filmmaker also, Pradeep, has joined us today.
Yay.
Yeah.
Welcome, Pradeep. We wanted you on for a good long while, so we're so happy to have you here.
Yeah, it's fun to come here.
And you guys have collaborated on this incredible new project along with Geordie, who's our tribe member, and Lewis as well, an artistic short film about queer migrants living with HIV called Out of Shadows. And we are so excited about premiering it in Trinity on World AIDS Day this year in association with GCN and of course with you. Can we talk a little bit more about the film?
Oh, yes, please.
Okay, great.
Yes, please.
How did it come about?
Yeah, it was a long time coming, and so as an activist, and when I see people from migrant backgrounds in Ireland, I see there is so much scope for storytelling in positive and non-judgmental way, and that was the inception of this my activism and also this artistic response to this crisis. I will call this crisis of migrancy. We live in the world where we are treating immigration something unnatural, unpolitical, and something to scare of. But if you see, our human history is based on migration. People
100%.
moved, lived, find their own ways, reshape the new land. And technologies and science and everything. So it was coming from that background. And this particularly film is part of my bigger visual art project that is called New Irish Queerness. And I'm questioning who are the new Irish queers? What will be the future of the Irish queer identity in this global context and migration context.
And you have an Irish passport. You're an Irish
yes.
citizen.
Oh, yes. I'm
so you're a new
now.
Irish queer for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That is something, again, political, because I always found myself in the place where how this Irish art institution see me as an Irish artist, or immigrant artist, or American, or Indian, Irish artist. If you see, if you see some famous Irish artists based in America or Britain, those country proudly claim them. They are American artist or British artist or British Irish artist. But whereas in Ireland, is it quite difficult to identify myself, who I am, or what I'm doing in the country, and what is coming along with my citizenship. Still, I'm struggling with that identity.
Well, I'm really glad that we get to explore it more with you, though, because it's so important. And this was the first time that you've been on film as an activist and an artist. Is that right? Is that fair to say?
Yes. I mean, we were talking about it for a while. Like, I think from few months, we were just kind of around World AIDS Day. I think that panel talk, like after that, we had a discussion. But then it took a few months to kind of just him coming to me being like, okay, what do you think about this project? Like, I want you to tell your story. And yeah, for the first time in front of the cameras, and I was like, okay.
You're going to get the bug now. You're going to be like, where's my camera?
Yes.
Where's my light? Pratik, would you consider yourself a creative person?
Yes, to some extent. I feel like my creativity is a bit different to a lot of people, but also I feel like when you are, you know, in the community, I feel like you always trying to learn from other people also, and I kind of feel like there's so much that I've told through my story, or just having conversations where, like I feel like, okay, I've done something, achieved something.
You sure have.
You've achieved so much. Are you kidding me? Wow. Because Pradeep, out of shadows, if I'm not mistaken, your idea was to get people living with HIV who are migrants to kind of tell their own story in their own way, and you capture it in a beautiful, creative way. So, like, how was it kind of handing over that kind of power to the community to share their story?
Yeah, I think it is such an important thing to do, because whatever we are creating by this film and this kind of work, it will be part of the Irish queer history down the line, and there will be more people will see, look at this work and get engaged, and they will somehow identify themselves. As a filmmaker, I feel, as a storyteller, as a visual artist, I feel like the biggest struggle is that when I'm coming to this country, I don't see myself or people like me in the art or on the screen or talking in their own languages, especially if I come from global south, where all the sexual health context, especially from the queer perspective, it is forced to be in very binary language context, only in English. But if you see the richness of our own sexual intimacy and expressing that in our own language is such a huge mental relief. You feel good whenever I talk with my friend back home, and we speak in our gay experiences and some gossips and some sexual stories in our own language. It is so different,
Mm-hmm.
It is so different. And if you see this now, the Ireland is getting so diverse.
Thank God, can we just say? Thank
Yeah.
God.
Especially after marriage referendum, after gender recognition, and also there is a significant impact of HIV medication through public health care. There is a significant number of global south people coming, queer people coming to Ireland, and looking Ireland as somewhere they can live safely and happily and discover themselves. Um, and from that context, it is so important to allowing these people to tell their story in their own language, own way,
Yeah.
and also giving that freedom. And when these institutions are not prioritizing that, I think the activists and individual artists like me can fill in the gap.
Yeah, and it's so important. It's so human. Recently, our flatmate moved in with us, Muriel, moved in with myself, my husband, Leo. They're both Brazilian. They speak Portuguese all the time. I'm the only person not speaking Portuguese in our house now. And the atmosphere is amazing, but also I feel like more joy from my husband in this new dynamic. Maybe he's just bored of me. No, but I just mean that, like you say,
bitching about you all the time.
talking about, fun things and gossipy things and things that happened in their own language. I can feel the joy of that, and it's really nice, and it's important not to be threatened by that. I've been just doing a 650 something Duolingo streak trying to learn Portuguese, and I understand very little, but I think it's really important, that it's not, the onus is not on them to speak English for me. The onus is on me to step up and try to understand better what's going on,
So we're getting Hindi, Catalan, and Spanish. Are those the languages?
Yes.
Ooh, oh my God. That'll do a lingo for all our listeners here.
And did you write in Hindi, Pratik?
Yes. So, I mean, when we talked, I think the idea was that we need to mix it. But then obviously, I think the first kind of writing was in English. But because I feel like because I'm here for a while, it just was like, okay, I have to go back and kind of make sure that the translation is correct. So, but yeah, we recorded like two of the parts are in Hindi, where it's literally me talking, and I felt like I was more confident and I can feel that my emotions were, or like, I can just feel it. And yeah, it was really amazing.
One thing that it's interesting when we talk about sex and sexual health is that kind of concepts like consent, there's no like direct translation to some different languages, so when we talk about sex or experience with HIV, was there any kind of phrase that you found difficult or more interesting?
Yeah, there were a lot of words. I think there was when I was translating, even with the HIV, like sexuality or something, like they're very, like in Hindi, they're very difficult words. Like even we don't use it in day-to-day language, like they're just very like difficult. So I think we were discussing that, okay, maybe I should just keep it like these words to be English, because even a lot of Hindi speakers might not able to understand what I'm trying to say, and they have to go to Google. So I think but a lot of translation sometimes I feel like is, even in the movies, like it's not correct. Like you can't really get the humor, you can't really get the seriousness, because when you translate, it just,
the nuance is lost.
Yeah,
100%. And how was it, because you talked about your HIV status and journey with us in the PozVibe. I recommend everyone go and listen to it. It's an amazing story. But how was it saying it again? I remember the first time, Veda, I don't know about you. Do you know the first time you share your story and you're just exhausted, like proper vulnerability hangover? Like, how is it for you? Yeah, you feel like you're on the ball with it now, or do you find it a little bit tricky still?
Yeah, I think things have been very positive. I feel like I'm at that stage where I am okay being HIV positive, and I'm just like, okay, I have to live with it. It's just one medication a day, and I'm fine. And but yeah, when I was writing the story, I feel like when you go back and think about what was going on 10 years ago, and how things were, you kind of feel like just going into that zone. But then I feel like I have so much to look forward. When I moved here, I think there's so much positive has happened. I have a family here, the whole tribe, people from India also. I feel like I just have people to talk. If I'm going into that zone, I can come back and be like, okay, I'm just going to meet my friend, and I think I'm just going to go back to be positive. So I think that's
you guys are on the cutting edge as well, which I am just so impressed and grateful for both of you. But, you know, representation is everything for people living with HIV. We have seen a radical change in the last 4.5 years since we started doing this. But until very recently, there was no representation by people of color in such a public way. And you and AJ and Lewis and this film, it's just so important. And we're just so grateful that, you know, that this whole thing is coming together, that we can support this beautiful project and, you know, and feel so part of it and go on this journey with you. Speaking of being on a journey with you, let's find out a little bit more about yourselves, maybe more personally, especially since this is your first time joining us. You've been in Dublin for quite a long time.
Yeah.
What is it that you think made you want to come here and start a new life here?
Yeah, it is. I feel like I still feel I'm new to Ireland because that is the minority stress you feel all the time. But I'm in Ireland for 15 years now, and this is like a long time.
And you still feel?
Yeah, I just pinch
Wow.
myself. Oh my, it's a real 15 years.
Can I hold you on that?
Yep.
Because you say the minority stress. We were talking to people in the UK, and you know, our language is so important about how we frame things. Instead of saying, "Oh, the minorities in the UK," they were like the global majority in the UK because, people from, you know, like Africa or Asia or Latin America who made Ireland home, they're from the global majority. Black and brown people are the global majority. You know, we're the minority around the world. And it's interesting that
14%, I think.
Yeah, exactly. So like, I know when we hear minority, I'm like, well, actually, do you know what? You could take us over.
We
like
want
in a heartbeat.
to.
We want to. Exactly. But it was just a really fascinating reframing because all the time when we talk about black and brown people, you're the first generation, we always call them minority groups. When actually, when we think about the global stage, you know, it's just insane. So anyways, it's just an interesting reframing. So go ahead.
And then it becomes, now I feel more home in Ireland, but again, with this activism giving me the scope to learn every day something new and meet someone new in the community, whether they are asylum seeker or economic migrants or trans migrant coming to Ireland just to transition, or non-binary individual coming to Ireland just to come out as non-binary. So there is so many realities I'm exposing to, and that just make me so fortunate and privileged also, because not many immigrants from my background got that opportunity to do this work. And so when I came to Ireland, it was a different place. George and Dragon, if the generation remember Dragon.
I remember the Dragon days
Dragon
very
was
well.
different.
Very
And
well.
Bandy
Well,
was my friend.
kind of blurry, but very well.
And I was so fortunate. To see Panty performing each weekend. And I have seen Panty doing amazing activism for marriage referendum through this weekly drag show in the Panty and the crowd inside. That was a different experience of Ireland, and it felt like a different time. And then Veda had a different experience on impact on me, because the first drag queen in Ireland I saw who is performing on Annie Lennox and David Bowie's song, and that memory stuck into me. In my mind. And for many years I never saw Veda, who is the Veda real person without drag. You know, it was a different experience as an queer migrant with curious and a mind with a lot of anger in heart about racism and prejudice online or in the bar or in bathhouse. So it was, but that was my take of Ireland, and now I see it is significant change. There's a lot of people of color you can see in the Ireland on the streets, community, and lot of friends uh, come from that background. Louis is one of my good friend.
How strong is the queer Indian community in Ireland?
It is quite fragmented. Honestly, it is. It needs a lot of work. Uh, uh, People coming to Western world with different expectations.
Yeah.
And those expectations come from Google and film and mainstream film, but the local realities are different.
Yeah, totally
And
different.
especially in the Ireland is different because if you go to the UK institutions level, public life level, cultural level, they have say 7-8 generations of history of migration.
Yeah.
And for Ireland, everything is so new. It is just 20 years ago started. So definitely there is the Indian community here, but it's fragmented. It had a lot of care and consistency to bring people out of shells and being part of. Even there is a certain degree of shame of going on the protest on the street. So you don't see Indian people. You will see Brazilian people going on the street and marching, but you don't see Indian people because this is a cultural shame of protest. And
Well, we see
activism.
this one every
Yes.
year.
Yeah. It's not a protest
No,
for
it's
Teacup.
great. Yeah, I feel like I've just seen recently, especially like in 2 years, like I've made a lot of new Indian friends, which is, there were not many people when I moved. Like obviously I met a few, but they were just like, okay, they're just somebody's in Galway, somebody's there. But then now I can see that there's a lot of people from the community are moving, and they see you on Instagram or Grindr or somewhere else, and they approach you because they just feel like you are living the life, and they're like, I'm always kind of excited to show them. I take them for a drink, to go to George. I feel like, but still, I feel I've seen people struggling in George because they see drag queens, they see a lot of people kissing. It could be different, and I feel for them it's not a very comfortable situation because they don't see that much in India.
Yeah.
So,
Wow. It's a
yeah.
real cultural awakening.
It
kind
is,
of.
yeah.
It is
And
big.
I remember one guy, a really good friend, him, and he had the same experience, and I was like, what I've done, because we were on George on a Monday, which is not the crazy night. And he just saw people kissing. There was a drag queen performing, and he just like, it's shut down totally. I was not even talking to me, and I was like, okay, what's going on? And then I was like, okay, let's go for a walk. I think you'll feel better. And that was the thing, because for them it was like, okay, I've never seen this thing.
How is he now?
He's much better.
Goes to the George every Monday.
Yeah.
Kisses Dizzy.
I was like, maybe I should.
Dizzy has been in the Georgian years. She left with the dragon.
I was on a grinder recently. Last one year. I'm not on a grinder, but
Liar. I tapped you on Grindr.
but
I
I
tap
used
all
to
my friends just so
deliberately
they know
search
I'm watching.
Indian. I used to deliberately search Indian and Pakistani men and chat with them because I know from my personal experience that they must be really isolated.
Or
Housing crisis
out.
there.
Yeah.
They must be sharing a house with homophobes, or they are not comfortable to be out at their workplace or their university campus. So that was also part of activism, and then talking with men
That's the
about
excuse I use all the
GMHS.
time too.
Yeah,
I'm just on
GMHS
Grindr doing a
and
little activism. I'm very active.
It's my outreach.
Yeah.
But you're so right, because I've noticed that now I see in Dublin 8, which is the home of Grindr, the Grindr hub, I see more face pics of Indian and Pakistani
yes.
guys than I ever did before. They were there, but maybe chest pics or no pics. And it's really nice to see it and to pass them on the street and say hi, and for it not to seem like it's so uncomfortable or scary for them.
Can I ask you a question? This is to all three of you, because I know you're all very active in this, and a lot more than me, to much to my shame. But a lot of you talk to people who recently come to Ireland from different cultures, and Veda, you talk often about, even just talking about what consent means, because these we didn't even have these conversations in Ireland 10 years ago, probably, as much as we do. So what are the top tips you give to people who recently come to Ireland from kind of maybe more repressed cultures? Like, what are the top 3 things that you see or you feel that these people should really know, integrating into Irish life?
Right. Well, for me, one of the ones that I always start with is chems. And talking to people about chems and chem sex and chem parties, because I think it's so easy if you're new to a community and you're totally unaware of how that works to just someone invites you to a party. Do you want to go to a party? Yes, you do want to go to a party. So chems for sure, consent for sure, and just the idea of using Grindr as safely as they can if they're choosing to use it, like meeting people for a coffee or meeting people in more public places, or, not doing it when you've had drinks or if it's very late at night, looking out for red flags. I think that's the mother in me. I get protective about the drug, sex, and the rock and roll.
Because we've made all the mistakes
all
before.
All the mistakes in the world, especially the rock and roll.
Yeah.
How about you? What would your first tips be to a new migrant?
Okay, so what I do practically, I just talk with them with hello, hi, where are you from, and what you do in Ireland, and then I just break the ice just by talking about sex, because I know everybody's had that queerness need, that sex is a queer expression, very core, and people become open up if they see someone Indian talking with them, and then I talk directly about GMHS testing, keep test yourself, and I talk about PrEP, and if they're comfortable, they can open up about their stats if they are living with HIV or not. But overall, people are just waiting for someone to talk with.
Yeah.
They're very smart and intelligent people. They just want someone to say hello to them, someone to then look at them. And I have seen many times if I go to Street 66, I deliberately do this. I just look around, and if somebody's person of color standing alone, I go to them as hi, hello, this is my number, I'm Pradeep. How are you doing? Are you alone on yourself? So I try to talk with people and direct to them and direct starting discussion with those basic layer, and people are very hungry to adapt that.
Oh, of course.
To know. Recently, I met one guy through the Kwapi, Queer Asian Pride Ireland, and he been to Boiler House, and he was happy to tell me the story that he met someone from Bombay, so these guys from Bombay, and they both were speaking in Marathi in Boiler House.
Oh,
and I
nice.
thought, well, I found someone from Marathi. And so people are smart, intelligent, and they're just very hungry to have the connection and want to be seen beyond their racial prejudice, or the Indian man is not attractive, or the brown man is not welcome.
Yeah, I feel so lucky in my work that the nature of HIV and certainly the nature of the tribe and the way that we have grown the tribe, we're so diverse. And I have so many amazing friends from all over because of that work, and I'm so lucky. But just like you, it's made me so much more aware in every bar and every social situation about if there's someone new who might be alone and need to connect with people. And it's the biggest blessing to have that awareness, because it's because of that awareness I've made so many incredible friends. Myself and Pratik are very close friends, for example. But also then we do that as a group. We
Yeah,
all do it.
we all do it.
And because of that, that nature just keeps growing, which is
PozVibe
great.
is a cultural melting pot in the best way possible.
Yeah.
It makes us better people, honestly. It's just the exposure and just learning people around the world and their experience of HIV
Yes.
in their country of origin and why they made Ireland their home. And
Yeah.
we're just so lucky to be friends with people from around the world. Oh my God. And it's kind of like when you wanted to do this documentary, it's like, well, what language do you want, Pradeep? You know, we have lots of language represented in the PozVibe in the most
Yes.
beautiful and best way. Pratik, what kind of advice do you give people who you've met who've just come to Ireland?
I think main thing is kind of the acceptance. I feel like it's very important. It takes time. I'm sure, I met people who are really good. They're fine. They were from big cities in India and they're okay. But then a lot of people come from not that, small towns. They're still struggling in India and then they come to Ireland, which is a lot more, open. So I always tell them to kind of just take it slow. Like there's no rush, you don't have to go on Grindr and, if you want, you can have a hookup or something, but maybe just try to meet people, kind of understand what's good, what feels safe. And then when you're ready, of course, you can have everything. And a lot of people, I think because of the podcast also, like I feel like a lot of people have approached me who are living in India with HIV, but they listen to the podcast or they've seen my Instagram and they approach me, and it's a very sad conversation sometimes the way they're struggling, but also I feel like in some way I'm kind of contributing and showing them that things are great. So a lot of people here also, I feel like it's just like a very slow process. Like you don't have to jump into like the queer space or anything. Take your time, make some friends, not just me, but meet other people, and just create like that kind of safe space.
I love that. And I just, again, highlights the power of community. Where everyone does here, helping people who are trying to make Ireland a home and do it in a safe way. I love that advice of just take it slow, because I think when you go to a new country, it must be, I want to be liberated. I want the shackles gone. So you jump, just as you say, Beta, you could jump into this party because you're like, well, why not? And if you're like craving connection, you feel like this is the best way of doing it, and then you can get caught into a spiral if you don't take it slow, if you don't have the information, if you don't know what PrEP is, So I think what you're all doing is really, really the Lord's work. And by the Lord, I mean Sinead O'Connor.
Yes.
And one of the most beautiful thing in my activist life happening since beginning of 2025 is starting of this Ireland's first ever queer people of color peer support group at Outhouse, and that is so rewarding. You see people, so many people walking on thorns, wearing blindfolds of inclusion and diversity, the fakeness of inclusion and diversity, and from different backgrounds, from asylum seeker, from spouses or workers or students, and also like there's a different array of gender identity and sexual identity, and seeing people still struggling to find their own nuance of who they are, how they want to be seen, and how the culture is seeing them.
Yeah.
And that is something rewarding. Recently, this beautiful Indian man, very young, he moved to Ireland because there's a lot of prejudice at his back home with his sexuality and identity. And he just honestly he was in tears and after the session, and he said like, I think I'm non-binary and I have huge transphobia within me,
Uh-huh.
and I haven't seen people living with HIV, and
Uh-huh.
I want to work on myself, and that is something. So you see, the community is growing. it is just beyond going to the bar and pub. It is a beyond just having like hookups culture. It is more than finding yourself in different land, and the land is not made for you.
And that's on Thursdays, is it? Every second Thursday of the month.
Second Thursday at
If anyone's listening.
To it. It's most beautiful, most inclusive. So we have this policy, like strict policy. There is no photograph, there is no video recording. So when you say the consent is from there, and I heard this very practice, like if you want to take photograph or group photograph, ask people.
Yeah.
Is it okay to take your photograph? Is it okay to share number, exchange number? Is it okay to share your I took a photograph, but is it shared to tag you on Instagram? So there are different array. Also, when you talk about the consent is such a like basic thing should be in community. I have seen some organization or some activist or some people, they just take queer people colors photographs just to portray themselves inclusive and tagging them. Oh wow, look, I'm so cool, I'm with this black lesbian or some like Indian trans. But just ask them, like, hey, are you okay? I'm taking your photograph and tagging you, because mostly you will gain something, but you don't care what they will lose or how they will feel to be, seen on social media in very unsolicited way. So it is the consent is something that come from there, that giving the privacy to each other.
So if someone wants to come along, Outhouse, and they can register, you register before you come to the group, is that right?
You can go to the Outhouse website, and also you can follow Outhouse Instagram or Queer Asian Pride Islands Instagram and see the updates.
Perfect.
But that is something bringing people together, because also understanding like most people coming from the countries like Bangladesh or India or Pakistan or in African countries, we don't have spaces like Outhouse. So we don't know where to go or what will happen when I will enter to the building. If I'm going to for hookup or if I'm like, how I will be treated.
Is it the boiler house or is it the outhouse?
So it is the sharing the soft skills of the community.
Of course.
When you are in a country like Ireland, which has a huge history of advocacy and activism, and and I say it often nowadays, like Outhouse and TCN are queer national treasures of Ireland, because most country doesn't have spaces like Outhouse or don't have publication like TCN, so we need to protect this.
And you can test for HIV in Outhouse, by the way, anyone who needs to know that.
We are so lucky for Outhouse, and well done to Ushin O'Reilly who took it over. He brought Outhouse from a 5, which was a great thing, right up to a 10, and made a way more inclusive space and community space.
I am in Ireland for 15 years, so I can claim that before and after Ocean.
Oh yeah, like what a legend. Real shout out. We love good leadership, and I really feel like we're getting good leadership at Outhouse.
Oh yeah, even the Lisa was editor at TCN and Cormac, and they just changed the TCN into something different.
We said about GCN beforehand as one of like ACT UP's thing, like GCN was gay community news, but barely any HIV talk in it. Barely any HIV for years and years and years. And
now it's riddled,
just like ourselves. You sniff the page, you get HIV.
They love HIV.
They love HIV now. I'm telling you now.
Anything that's 3 letters.
They are our biggest supporters because they know it's a health condition that affects our community more specifically. They know that it's a great place for awareness, and they do it so beautifully, and they reach out, and they're more than receptive if we ever have anything to work with. And as which we will see on World AIDS Day.
Yeah, they're partnering with all of us.
Can I talk about leadership and inclusivity and removing the performative nature of leadership? And with these recent racist attacks, especially in the Indian community. The government recently met up with Indian leadership, right? And I want to give a shout out to what Queer Asian Pride put out. It's like, where are the queer Indians at this meeting?
Yeah.
And it infuriated me. It really, really infuriated me that you were not there. You were not represented. Queer people were not represented. So I would like to give you the opportunity, Pradeep and Pratik. Veda is the Taoiseach. I am the Taoiseach. If you were at that meeting,
Spill the Taoiseach.
spill the tea. What would you like to say? What do you
I
think?
would like to have our previous Taoiseach in this role playing.
Yeah,
if you have
definitely.
Oh.
Leo, then I can talk with you.
Veda's Leo.
Oh my God, that's really messing with
I'm
my
Mary
mind.
McDonald.
I'm a Capricorn, not a Leo. I'm a narcissist, not a politician.
But if you were given an opportunity to sit at that table, what would you like to say as queer Indians for the recent spate of attacks? What do we need to do, both from government level and from community? What would you love to see more of?
Just talk with people. This is so simple. It is not rocket science. Just talk with people. And there is shame. So I can understand. I can see this. Like, there is already shame about queerness or homosexuality or same-sex activities and trans people or lesbian, gay. It is all very frightening for Indian culture. It is, since the law change or something happened in the legislation way in 2016, but there is a stigma. There is some, and when people migrate, they easily bring their beliefs with them.
Of course.
So we are not immune that, I will change country. I adopted a new citizenship, so overnight I'm become someone new. No, people try to retain their own thoughts and beliefs, and that is a reflection of Indian community as well. You don't see queer people included, queer immigrants, queer Indians included in the representation of Indianness in Ireland. I was very fortunate last year. Epic Museum hosted exhibition, and very good and culturally and socially educated and aware person like Catherine Healy curated, and she included in that exhibition as a queer immigrant in India. But also at the exhibition launch, I saw that like nobody was talking with me. There are certain people, only a friend that I invited for the launch, they were talking me. Even in the photo call by the Indian ambassador, I wasn't the priority. I was in the exhibition. There was my big photograph. I have video. I was in publication. But you can see like who stands fair and who share the photo frame, who share the news space. And you can see there is a silence about queerness. So I'm not surprised that Department of Justice invited Indian convoy or Indian representation, and they were royally forgot to include and invite queer people of color. Whereas if you see, there is a significant number of queer Indians get harassed and targeted online and on the street, but hardly anybody is stand for us.
Well, I think we need to call out the Irish government, because while I understand that from Indian culture, there's that kind of stigma and shame and misunderstandings around what it is to be LGBTQ+, the Irish government should know better, and they should know that the Asian community who are queer do get harassed, and regardless of the feelings in that room. Everyone should be there and to be heard. So that's why we should call and expect more from the Irish government.
Yep.
And there shouldn't be exclusion in these important dialogues. So while I understand kind of culturally from where you're coming from, India, I think we should always push the Irish government to really listen to all the voices in the room. And also for Irish people to be less cliquey. One thing that I heard from you is reach out to people, go talk to people in the room. Stop being cliquey.
Mortified.
Oh my God.
Mortified for
so
you.
cliquey.
I know, it's so funny. But like I said, I feel blessed, especially at 52, to have such a great, diverse group of friends. But I also am active in the community. I don't sit back waiting for it to happen.
Yeah.
And I'm so embarrassed for people who don't have diverse group of friends. And I don't just mean friends they could get a photo with for their Instagram. I mean real friends. Like when the attacks were happening on Indian migrants recently, I think those of us who have friends in that community were so ashamed and scared and worried. And that's how we need to feel, because we need to call out our government. We need to care, really care. And instead, in the queer community, you see a lot of people standing back and not being active and not taking part and not reaching out. It really pisses me off, you know?
Yeah.
So I think that's just so important. Wake up,
Wake
people.
Yeah, day to day also, I feel like just with these attacks also, I know like people don't want to get involved when these things are happening, because obviously, usually they also get in trouble. People don't want to get involved. But I've seen like, when people, especially in the buses, I feel like if somebody is harassing someone, could be from anywhere, if 3 people just stand and tell them that this is not right and they're Irish, I feel like they might think about that. They might not do it again, because I feel like it's just like everybody is so quiet and it's just happening. So I feel like what people from here need to be like, okay, if something is wrong, we need to just come and kind of say to, whoever is doing the attack or something, that this is not right. Like, you can't do this in this country. And I feel that will change a lot of things.
I think so.
And we need some strong policing, you know? Like, where are the consequences? I said it earlier on, a visa amnesty for everybody who's in the country.
Yes.
That's one way to deal with these right-wing racist fucks. And then strong policing, consequences. This is antisocial behavior. They're very quick to arrest people for abusing drugs or doing sex work or doing any number of other things. But being viciously racist is not something that seems to be very high on any guard's bingo card when they wake up in the morning.
Absolutely not.
Where are the arrests?
Yeah, and also being neutral on this topic is not helping anyone.
And it's not neutral.
Yeah,
There is no neutral.
because if you see, most of this activism happened last 2 years, especially about far right march. You will see predominantly Irish lesbian, Irish woman, and Irish trans and people of color. Irish queer men are disappearing, and that is something my first-hand experience. I have seen this activism of marriage referendum where Irish queer men were predominantly present and involved. But now you see this is something dividing in this community. You don't see Irish gay men in this protest. You will see more lesbians and cis-straight women and trans people. They are so passionately active. Something had to be addressed that because this divide could be very harmful, where the globally queer rights under threat.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much racism in the community, which is surprising. There's kind of a white privilege. Sometimes I feel, even if you're talking Grindr, they always think that they have the, strong upper hand. And
I wouldn't even say sometimes. I would say
How
almost
the
99%
drama
of
of
the times.
Grindr.
And you know that they can't be out marching because they're in the gym. That's really the
That's their
tragedy
priorities.
of,
Like, it's not affecting me.
No,
Yeah, really.
and that's the privilege that they have.
Of course.
Yeah.
So, oh my God. And so I'm in this conversation I'm hearing, people come to Ireland and they feel they can be liberated. They can explore themselves. They can confront themselves. Why am I transphobic?
They can do drag.
They can do drag, like the gorgeous Brigitte.
They
Dolce
both done
Gabbana.
drag. Dolcini.
Dolcini Gabbana.
And what was your drag name again?
Pradiva Vegan.
Pradiva.
Oh my God.
Say it again for me.
Pradiva Vegan Marshmallow.
Oh, marshmallow! I knew there was
Vegan
something.
marshmallow.
Yes.
Vegan marshmallow.
Yeah, I know. I'm not prejudiced against anyone but vegans, I have to be honest. I made it through the wilderness.
And she has some interesting character and stories. So she ran away from her own wedding. She's rich, and she lost herself in Bergen dark room, and she lost her glass butt plug.
Oh.
So she's like Cinderella. So
Everyone
Cinderella
loses the butt
lost
plug
her
in
sandal.
Bergen, in fairness.
She lost her glass butt plug, and she's trying.
I can imagine some gay picking it up and trying different assholes to see which one it fits in.
Oh my God, it's the ugly
So there is
sisters.
some migrant story behind us, So she.
Diva, I love it. I love it.
You're an amazing artist as well, because we talk a lot about activism, and you've got so many different strings to your activism bow. There is the film festival.
Oh yes.
Yes, it's
Fantastic.
and there is Queer Asian Pride, and then there is MITS, the Queer MITS. You've got a lot of strings in the bow, but beyond that, the reason I want to say that is because you're an amazing artist as an illustrator. I think it's uniquely sexy and beautiful, your work, and it stands apart from a lot of other queer art that I see, because there's a lot of beautiful and diverse queer art, but you have very much honed your own style.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit more about your art.
So my illustration come from my passion for print making. So I was artist back in India. I was fortunate to work for advertising agency for 10 years and more, and then I came to UK. This is Indian man's quick escape from the pressure at societal pressure to escape and go to UK. So it was much easy time back in the day to migrating UK as a student, as an art student, and I did print making there. And when I came to Ireland, I realized the print making is so expensive here. There is really hard to go into the community and make friends and break barriers, which was much easy in London. So I had transfer all my printmaking into illustrations, and then it become more the sexual racism shaped me who I am now. I was a different person, but this constant rejection in Ireland because you are Indian, you are brown, you are not attractive enough, you are not good enough.
You're bald, for Christ's sake. Me too.
Oh, there's a beauty in bald. There's a beauty in bald. I like to see my reflection on your head.
So all those my unfulfilled sexual desires filter down into my shamelessly queer
art.
and gay,
And it's beautiful.
illustration,
Really
the
beautiful.
cocks,
So special.
asses, and I love that.
Yeah, me too. I love cocks and
Yeah.
asses, and I love your drawings of it.
And glass butt plugs.
And if you see all the illustrations have the theme of this isolation.
Yeah.
It is all art made with some pain and isolation when you live life 1,000 miles away from your own culture, country, home, and you've been seen constantly as someone alien. So I put myself as an alien, and this alien creating this very surreal, out of world, sexual illustrations.
And you can find them at Queer Myths on Instagram.
Yeah.
Isn't that right?
Yeah.
I guess it's time for us to wrap up
It
this
really
little
is.
kiki.
Before I go, I just like when I looked at your art and from what you said at the beginning, it's like you were like, my identity's still evolving. Do you know, am I, do you know, the Irish artist, the migrant artist, the Indian artist, the queer artist, the bald artist, and it's almost like that kind of liminal feeling of not knowing exactly where you're fit or where Irish art is. It comes through so well in your art and makes it so unique, that like unknown almost. But what I have to say is just thanks for being here, sharing your art, and you really are at the heart of art, activism and community, and I just think we're so lucky to have both you, Pradeep and Pratik. We're going to end on this. Out of Shadows is going to be coming out soon.
1st of December, premiere in Trinity College in association with GCN and Queeration Pride.
Well done, Fade. You got that.
Okay, I can say thank you for you both, and Robbie, thank you, and Pratik, and huge thank you for Louis, Pratik, and Jordi, because it is their story. I was behind camera. I helped them to the ride, but it was their story, and as an artist it was very passionate for me to see like how it will cultivate, because it wasn't a traditional documentary of like people sitting in front of camera. It has so much sexiness, performers.
Oh, I felt sexy.
Woo! You are sexy, Pratik.
And I will also thank you for my funders and my production team, because
Yeah, they're
Pratik
amazing. I
know
love
them. They are
Yes.
mostly straight people, but they were so inclusive and fun.
Oh, so fun, yeah.
We love
And-
straight allies, don't we?
Yeah.
We have to
I mean,
give it
it
out.
was
Straight allies.
surprising.
Yes.
I know, we give it out.
Yeah.
like our Colin from Tyler's Story.
Sorry, Ivan, you're an obvious exception.
Yeah.
But most straight people, I'm not so interested.
Pratik, we always give the last word to someone who's paused on the PozVibe podcast. Do you have a favourite sentence of your kind of act in Out of Shadows that you'd like to share with us so we can end on?
Oh God, there's so much. I feel like, I think the at the end, I feel like the whole story, because it's like kind of going from sadness to happiness, and I feel like the main thing, I was like, okay, I accept the way I am, and I'm queer, and I'm proud, and I'm even proud to be HIV positive, and I think that was kind of my last kind of and I felt so empowered, and I feel like it just gave me like just a freedom, It was again the butterfly. Spoilers. It was again the butterfly. So it's like, okay, I can fly now.
Oh my God, you're like the Indian Mariah Carey. But thank you so much for being here, Pradeep and Pratik. It was we're so happy to finally have you here, Pradeep. So everyone come to Trinity College on December 1st, World AIDS Day, and celebrate with us and see this beautiful film. So as usual, we're going to end off by saying,
Please, please, please stay positive.
and stay powerful.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to PozVibe Podcast. If you enjoyed this week's episode, show us you care by leaving a review wherever you listen. And don't forget to follow us on social media at PozVibe Podcast for all the latest news and updates.